New Mexico lawmakers found out this week that the state's revenue projections for next year have been lowered due to falling oil and gas prices. That could have a major impact on the upcoming legislative session, an understatement there, which is a 30-day session, of course, focused on the budget. Now, Finance and Administration Secretary Tom Clifford told the Albuquerque Journal that the lower budget projections mean that pay increases for state employees and a boost in funding for the courts won't be possible. Our line panelists are ready to debate this news. I'm joined at the table today by Daniel Foley, former New Mexico House Minority Whip, Eric Griego, former New Mexico State Senator, Laura Sanchez-Reve, an attorney at Cuddy and McCarthy LLP, and Tom Garrity with the Garrity Group PR. All right, Tom, you're a business owner, as we all know. When you hear things like revenue shortfalls, you have to deal with budgets in your own shop all the time. And sort of shooting in blind projections are always a difficult thing to do. How big of a fix does this put us in? Because we had projected oil being at $58 a barrel starting in July of this year for our budget cycle this year. It ain't happening. We're now at under $40 a barrel. What's the impact here in your view?
Well, there's a couple of ways you can look at this. Obviously, as a business owner, I would always hope that the legislature and the governor would be more fiscally responsible as far as not really over budgeting or over asking, or overspending. Flat budgets are okay, and then of course running business is different than running government.
Sure.
And stuff. But when you look at the number of requests that are coming in, whether it be for shortfalls in Medicaid funding, needs in the courts and justice system. You have a lot of folks who are saying we have needs, and you have the bears, folks who are very bearish on the numbers that are going to be coming in as far as revenues go, and then you have the bulls. But what it really comes down to is the pork. Who's going to be able to get their projects funded?
That's right.
And that's where it comes down to those individual conversations amongst legislators and negotiations with the fourth floor. So I think, to answer your question, it's not a bad situation to be in. It's not a shortfall. It's a shortfall of the expectation.
Right.
But we're still where we were last year.
Exactly right. You, sir, sat right in this seat not that many months ago, sat right here and said, you know what, if we get to $40 a barrel, we're in trouble in this state. And this was back when it was like $70 a barrel. We're now at under $40 a barrel. What does this mean? When you look at this,
it means multiple things. First of all, is we've talked for a long time. We talked a lot when I was in the legislature about truth and forecasting. We have a constitutional mandate that we have a balanced budget every year. And the way the budget gets balanced, oil and gas is a big part of that. And we get these people that run out and they say, well, we're going to pick a price per barrel, plug it in here to balance the budget. When the reality is,
And how far in advance is that picking done?
Oh, it's done back last legislative session.
Right.
You have to come out, it's done all last year for the January session, and then they come in and they say, we're basing the budget on $70 a barrel oil. What I always found interesting was, more times than not, the value that the state says we're going to have, that the LFC and their folks say we're going to have, doesn't come anywhere close to what the pundits are saying nationally and globally that the price is going to be. Being where the price is today, it's a huge impact on the state of New Mexico, and it's a huge impact when over the last few years we keep spending more money. Gene, you and I joke with you all the time here that there's not a problem that you don't want to spend money on, and we got to prioritize where we spend the money. We've just added a ton of people. This governor and the legislature added a ton of people to the rolls of Medicaid. Those are unfunded. Those are entitlement programs that once you add those folks, you can't roll it back. You can't say next year, hey, we don't have money for that. We're going to cut the rolls of Medicaid. And over the course of time, the money from the feds keeps decreasing. The coming for that, and it's a bigger burden on the state coffers. So at the end of the day, I think that there's going to have to be, first in New Mexico, a serious look at what we're spending the money on. I think it's time, and Gene, I've said this at this table for years now, I've never been a fan of a 5% across the board cut, because if something isn't working, why are we funding it at 95%? And if something is working, why are we cutting it? We have to seriously look at our priorities. If education is a priority, then we're going to have to reallocate money. If the courts are a priority, the problem is in New Mexico right now, there's too many priorities and too many players.
Interesting. Laura Sanchez-Reve, I mentioned Tom Clifford, DFA head. Did you find it interesting that when this story just sort of came out, they just rolled out the idea that the folks looking for help in the court system, the $9 million, are just not going to get it? Did that surprise you that was the very first thing that someone was going to have to take a point of pain? Like, why the court system? There's a lot of other people out there that are going to have to buckle down.
Well, I think that certainly shows the governor's cards, I think, in terms of where they're thinking the budget's going to come down on, what their priorities are. And it's unfortunate that they're making that determination ahead of time already without having, I think, a very clear picture of where we are. It was also interesting to me in the dynamic between the LFC and the administration was, the sort of spin that you saw from Clifford and also from Secretary Padilla.
Right.
They were trying to say we shouldn't be too bearish. I think the last word from Senator John Arthur Smith, who hails from my part of the world down in Deming, who's very fiscally conservative, obviously, and wants to be careful about where we are with things. And he said we shouldn't be too bullish. And I think that's sort of a really important thing to take away from this is that we really don't know where things are going to be. Clearly, this isn't a shortfall yet, but it's definitely a decline of something like 60 million and where the projections were. We're at $38 a barrel now, and some are saying that it could increase to 44. It could, but it could also decrease, and I think that's something that we have to be realistic about. And so I found that very interesting, but I also read about, and something to consider is that with the lower, part of the problem with us here in New Mexico is that so much of our revenue is tied to oil and gas. And that's, that's a problem because we put all of our eggs in that basket. When that basket doesn't produce, then it becomes a problem, I think, for our state revenue. But at the same time, in terms of consumer-driven economy, you're looking at lower gas prices and potentially more money in the pockets of consumers, which means more gross receipts tax also, potentially. So I think that there's some optimism to be seen there, potentially, if we can see some more spending going into the end of this year, with the holiday season and beginning of next year. Those numbers could increase in terms of gross receipts taxes, which could mean a lot for local jurisdictions.
That's an interesting point, Senator Griego. The idea that we have some money extra coming in. It's not as much as we would have liked to have had. 60 million is no small amount, certainly. But do you give credit to where Senator John Arthur Smith is coming up saying he's a little skeptical, and if it all sort of disappeared, what I'm hearing him say is don't be surprised if some announcement down the road just before the session says, look, we don't have the kind of cushion we even thought we had 30 days ago. Would that surprise you if that circumstance came in?
I mean, three things that haven't been mentioned here is, and with all due respect to the chairman of the Finance Committee, Senator Smith, when it comes to giving tax cuts, has been all for it. Right. We gave some massive tax cuts away in the last few years. There's two sides of the budget. We're talking a lot about spending, but we really blew a huge hole in our revenues when we gave these huge tax cuts to corporate tax cuts mostly. I'm yet to see one job created by those. Senator Smith championed those. So so that's one. Two, he's the main opponent of the early childhood constitutional amendment. That would pump nearly $200 million into this economy for kids, for small business owners who run this. That alone would turn this economy around. We have to invest in the economy and make things happen. The third thing is, the only growing and the strongest sector in our economy is healthcare, and that's fueled almost entirely by this increased Medicaid spending. So for us to shoot ourselves in the foot by saying, oh, we got to really look at how Medicaid spending going, well, that's where our economy is growing. Two is, you want to fix this problem? Let the voters decide on a constitutional amendment. Let's fund early childhood. That would be a huge stimulus for the economy for the foreseeable future. And three, let's revisit all these tax giveaways we've been giving for the last several years, and that alone. And just from perspective, $60 million isn't a lot of money. We're talking about a $6.5 billion budget. It's less than 1%. Right. If we made the choice, we could backfill that very, very easily. So I just think there's a lot of disingenuous conversation going on about how to really solve these problems.
Interesting. Right, about a minute. Laura brought up an interesting point there. The administration is making a point saying, look, there's more money in folks' pockets. The gas thing is no joke. I mean, there's a serious drop from where the highs we had a couple of years ago. Does that work in your world, in your particular Tom wallet? Does having a break on gas make up for other things?
Well, a little bit, yeah. But I mean, when you look at the overall state of things in New Mexico, I think the electorate that doesn't go out and that doesn't vote, they like it. Yeah. But it really doesn't help, I think, to generate long-term economic stability, which is what we need.
Finish up on that one. That same question: consumer spending. Laura's point: 600 million. Back in the economy, does it make that big of a difference?
Well, it makes a difference when it comes to things. Obviously, it makes a difference to everybody because we're such a rural state that people are driving everywhere to go shopping. They got to do the stuff. I think it'll help people get out and do more around the state. It also helps the budget when we start talking about public schools, the cost they're paying to get buses driven and get the price of fuel out. All of that stuff, I think, is a win. Hopefully, that money will be generated back into the economy so it comes back to the state. But we just got to realize, and Senator Griego raises a great point. It's just a philosophical difference. Is it spend more by cutting taxes, or is it finding out programs that actually work and funding them to the right level? That's the question.
There you go. Up next, we learn how one entrepreneur built a business that meets a unique set of needs for tribes here in New Mexico.